Hello and welcome to another session in physics. In this session, we'll be looking at heat energy, concepts of heat, temperature, and effects. But before we do that, let us review the previous lesson. Welcome back. At this point, let's look at the concepts of heat and what heat is about. Well, heat is a concept in physics that deals with the study of relative motion of fluids, namely liquids and gases, from one body to another body. Heat is a form of energy that can be transferred from one body due to temperature differences or differences in temperature. That explains why when you put your cool hand inside a very hot bowl of water, you're going to scream out in pain because the temperature difference between your hand and the water, they are not the same. WAEC would always ask you why the floor feels colder to the feet than a mat. The reason is because the floor is a very good conductor of heat, whereas the mat is a poor conductor of heat. So for that reason, when you stand on a floor, the floor is going to do all it can to conduct heat away from your feet, making you feel cold. Whereas the mat, being a poor conductor of heat, is actually going to try to keep you warm by retaining the heat in your feet. And this is the process where diffusion comes in. Diffusion is a process where molecules move from regions of lower concentration to regions of higher concentration. It is that principle that heat works on. On the other hand, we say that temperature is defined as the degree of hotness and coldness of a body or an object. Temperature is the degree of hotness or coldness of a body or an object. Temperature is a scalar quantity and it is measured in Kelvin. That does not mean that we cannot measure temperature in units such as Celsius or even Fahrenheit. We can also measure it in these units as well. For the SI unit, the SI, the System International Unit of Measurement for Temperature, Kelvin. So I'm sure that you will be able to state the basic differences that we have between heat and temperature from the definitions here. Already you know that heat is a special kind of energy. Heat is a form of energy. What kind of form of energy? It is thermal energy. Whereas temperature is not an energy. Temperature is simply a measure of how hot or how cold a body or an object is. And now let's delve proper into differences between heat and temperature. As you can see from the slide here, not the same. So let's look at the basic differences that we have between heat and temperature. The first one is that heat is a measure of the total internal energy of a body. Heat is a measure of the total internal energy of a body. And what do we mean by this? It simply means that the internal energy of a body at any particular point in time is what we call heat. How hot or how cold our body is what we now call temperature. Understand that heat is an energy. Temperature is not an energy, but simply a measurement of the hotness or coldness of the body. Number two difference between heat and temperature is that heat takes place as a result of a difference in temperature. Heat takes place as a result of a difference in temperature between two substances. That is how heat takes place. On the other hand, temperature occurs as a result of slight change of substance. On the other hand, has its unit and it is measured in joules because it is an energy. We all know that for energy, the principal or primary unit for measuring energy is joules. Heat energy or thermal energy is not an exception. On the other hand, temperature is measured in Kelvin, in Celsius, or in Fahrenheit, like we mentioned earlier. Now let's look at the effects of heat. There are some situations that could cause heat to be applied on substances, and after it has been applied to that body, we may experience the following effects. The first one is expansion. heat causes a body to burn. That explains why when you put a kettle on the fire, after some time, as a result of the vibration, constant vibration of the molecules inside the water in this container, they start to vibrate. This vibration at a certain point would cause the water inside this kettle to start pouring out on the ground. The reason is the vibration of the molecules that make up this water. And before you know what is happening, the container would expand due to a change in temperature. Remember, we said heat occurs as a result of change in temperature. Another effect is that heat causes change in temperature, like we said earlier. Now, what do we mean by saying change? It simply means that when heat is applied to a body, the temperature increases. Temperature increases. Let's say, for instance, the temperature of a body was about 273 Kelvin. At the application of heat, probably putting it on fire or applying heat to it, the body could now increase to 300 Kelvin. We could also have measures of temperature in Celsius and Fahrenheit, respectively. So, an application of heat causes a change in temperature. The effect of heat is change of state. We have three states of matter, namely solids, liquids, and gases. These are the three states of matter. The application of heat can cause solids to turn to gas when they melt. On the other hand, the application of heat can cause gases to condensate, and then they will become liquids. And then the application of heat could also cause solids to melt and become liquids as well. Again, liquids rather can turn to gases when they boil. When liquids undergo boiling, they turn to gases. When gases condensate, they turn to liquid. When liquids freeze, when they become cold, when you put them inside the fridge, they become solids. On the other hand, when solids melt, they become liquid as well. Also, when solids sublime, when they undergo a process called sublimation, when they sublime, they turn to gas. Sublimation is a process where solids can change directly into the gaseous state without going through the liquid process. So they become gas. And when gases condensate, or condensation, they become solids. And then we have thermionic emissions. Thermionic emission simply refers to the emissions of photons, emissions of electrons from the surfaces of hot metal. When this metal has been heated, it can lead to the emission of electrons, as you can see from the diagram here. That's what we call thermionic emission. Also, when heat is applied to a body, it could also lead to another kind of emission we call photoelectric emission. Photoelectric emission is also the emission of electrons. When sufficient light of very high frequency is focused or illuminated on that particular surface. For example, zinc plate, for instance, when you focus a very high frequency of light on zinc plate, electrons can be emitted from the surface of this zinc plate, and that's what we call photoelectric emission. We have so many uses of heat. As you can see here, we use it in cooking, we use it in drying our clothes, we use it in chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is a special treatment for people who suffer from cancer and is used to kill cancerous cells. So heat is used in chemotherapy. It is also used in thermal printing. Thermal printing, we know some of our printing devices, they use heat to make imprints or make impressions on pieces of paper. And that's it for today. Thank you for joining us in this lesson to refresh your memory on what we've just discussed. Please take the test that will